Durant pull-up jumper off the rim and in. Oh! And the Thunder win! All right, come on, let's sing the Thunder song. When you hear the sound of thunder, don't you get too scared. Just grab your Thunder buddy and say these magic words.
Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Thunder Buddies podcast. I'm Anthony Slater. Darnell Mayberry's in the studio. He finally turned his Taylor Swift song off.
Wish I didn't have to.
I'm glad you did. Nobody wants to hear Taylor Swift.
You don't know that.
Well, you're right. There's probably 4% of our listeners want to hear Taylor Swift while we talk.
I didn't bring her up. You did.
Well, that's because you just got done turning off her Pandora station or whatever. Or actually, that probably wasn't Pandora. That was legitimately
it was Vimeo. What do you call it? Vimeo?
Vimeo.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Vimeo.
All right. You just got back from the West Coast.
How was your weekend?
My weekend was fine. Good. Regular. Relaxing. I enjoyed the Enes Kanter show in Utah.
Scott Brooks didn't.
What did you make of that? Were you surprised Brooks called that out? He doesn't usually call his players out regardless of what happens.
Yeah, I thought it was – I'm not going to go as far as to say petty. I thought it was overkill.
By who?
By Brooks.
By Brooks.
By Brooks. Because for the simple fact that I didn't hear him saying anything when Russell Westbrook was swatting Rockies half-court shots in Denver. If that's not what the Thunder is about, or if that is what the Thunder is about, then, I just thought it was a little inconsistent. Highly inconsistent.
You were in obviously the press conference when it happened.
I got booze on my tape recorder. I don't know if that'll show up well audio-wise on this podcast. Should I pull it out and try?
No, because everyone knows how boos sound.
Well,
they
were pretty loud in Utah.
It won't. Yeah, but I'm assume they will. But coming off your tape recorder will just sound like amazing. Regular boos.
They were all on him all night. They were all over him.
It was not nearly as bad, obviously, as you remember the LeBron's first game back in Cleveland.
Come on, don't put Enes Kanter.
I'm not.
LeBron
I'm
in the
not.
same sentence.
I'm talking about incredibly loud boos. And I remember the boos that night were crazy. They were like violent boos in Cleveland.
Yeah, and the difference, other than it's the best player on the planet, versus,
of a solid
center. Utah is sort of a late arriving crowd. Strangely, you would think it would be sort of like Oklahoma City, where people would get there early and stay late.
Utah kind of reminds me a little of Miami.
Yeah. So the place wasn't even full, but it was still loud. When LeBron went back to Cleveland, that place was packed. For tip-off.
That place was probably packed like 3 days beforehand.
Yeah.
Like pre-party.
That was a crazy scene.
Well, my question was, did Brooks bring it up on his own?
No,
or did
someone asked him. What
was the question?
What did you think of, the way Enes handled the crowd and all of that, just handled his return. And then he said, I didn't like it, how he handled it at the start. Which, if all he did was raise his hands in the air and
if he didn't have the comments,
bring it on.
But at the same time, if he didn't have the comments, he wouldn't have had that.
I respect Enes more for standing by him after the game. He said he's not going to back down. He said he does still have respect for some teammates and coaches and friendships with
I
him.
wonder what his biggest issue was.
He didn't back down, and that was, to me, I respected that.
I wonder what his biggest issue, because it sounded like he was saying he had issues, but
like
didn't want to go
into. Was they were losing.
Playing time, I think, especially when they had these younger centers in, I think, especially early on.
Yeah, I don't know what his beef was, because Utah is
supposed to be
widely considered a model franchise.
Yeah,
classy organization. So I don't know. You don't hear too many people complaining about their time in Utah.
It was interesting. I'm interested to hear when Reggie Jackson comes back. How that goes.
I think Reggie learned a lesson.
And he's not coming, if he came, this would basically being him come back last week. He's not going to come back till at least a year later.
It won't matter. People will still be all over him.
I don't think like Kanter, and I don't think he'll comment. Like,
no, that's what I'm saying. He learned a lesson.
Yeah.
And the lesson is lie. Don't tell the truth.
Yeah. I think if Kanter doesn't have those statements, he doesn't get booed that loud. He gets booed, but it's like, I don't think nearly.
You demand a trade, that's grounds for automatic booing.
I bet you would have been like a spattering of booing, not like
in
the chorus,
comments
19,000.
the comments definitely didn't do him any favors.
Sounded like the team, the Jazz team was really fired up about the comments. From what I read a little bit from there was, what are you doing? You over here playing with? You're not.
Pay attention. Just keep going.
You're not a technician.
Keep going.
I don't even remember what I was saying. You're messing up my mic level.
You're talking about Enes Kanter.
Well, I mean, I don't really remember what I was saying about Enes Kanter. From what I read from Utah, the Jazz team didn't really care about the trade demands and this, that. They know it's a business. But once he, like, roasted the organization, they were, like, super pumped.
Did you hear
for the
Gordon
game.
Hayward call him a former player?
Yeah, I wouldn't call him by name.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
It was funny because I was trying to help you out with some Enes Kanter questions from Utah. So I went up to talk to Gordon Hayward before the game. And every question I asked about Enes, Gordon Hayward just sort of laughed. I don't know if he was laughing at my question, which is highly possible, or if he was laughing at the fact that he didn't care about Enes Kanter anymore and was just trying to be respectful. I don't know.
Did he give you some decent?
He gave me some decent stuff, and I'll send you the audio here soon. But it was just kind of, and then obviously what he said after the game, it was clear that he
by the time you
had
talked
some
to him,
resentment.
he had already said what he said that morning.
Right.
So
Brooks claimed he didn't see it before the game. Brooks was asked if he saw the comments, and he claimed that he didn't.
Yeah, right.
Before the game. I mean, we're talking from shoot around until 5:30 Utah time.
Scott Brooks heard about the comments within 10 minutes of them being said.
No doubt. But it was interesting. I mean, I thought, what did he finish with that? 18 and 11 that game? I mean,
yeah, I think 18.
He came out and pretty much backed it up. Now, he wasn't good defensively, but that's become the norm.
He got his stats, and he got his L like always.
What a backhand. Like, that was – he dissed himself and his own team by saying that, Trevor Booker.
A little bit, but it was –
You
trust me, I
played with the
guarantee
guy
every
this year.
Utah fan loved that.
Yeah, I know. Like, they were like, ooh, Trevor Booker.
Anyway, all right. And then you backed that up. You were asking how my weekend went. So, I mean, I was highly entertained. The Under Kanter is a huge WrestleMania fan.
Right.
WrestleMania was this weekend. He was acting like he was a wrestling villain. I enjoyed it.
Hey, where was WrestleMania?
I'll tell you in 1 second.
There was a kid.
That's why we got the internet.
There was a kid on my plane back from Phoenix last night. He had a WrestleMania hat on. He was 2 rows in front of me. And I'm wondering, did this kid just come back from WrestleMania? Did they just have WrestleMania? Where is WrestleMania? And you just brought up WrestleMania. Of course you would, because you're the only person above 21 that still watches it.
I didn't watch it. But I know, I mean, you knew it was this weekend. I knew it was
I
this
did
weekend.
not know it was this weekend, but you brought it up, and then I just reminded me of the kid 2 rows in front of me on my plane last night.
It was actually in Santa Clara, California, kind of close to where I'm from, at Niner Stadium, where the Niners play.
Wow.
So I should have been home. You asked how my weekend went. Now it did not go nearly as good as it could have gone.
You would have gone to WrestleMania in Santa Clara.
That actually would have been pretty funny.
Okay.
But so Saturday, that was enjoyable watching that game. And then Sunday was it looked like it was going to be a laugher early.
It was ugly
in
for
Phoenix.
a while.
And then the Thunder, first time they've come back from 20 and ever?
Yeah.
Which is like, first of all, that's incredibly surprising. Just that stat overall, that they've never come back from a 20-point deficit.
Yeah, because the Thunder has this history of never being out of a game. And so you always think no matter how big the deficit, they'll come back. So you would have thought
maybe
that
it's more
20
like 12
points they would have come back
in
from before.
4 minutes. Yeah, for sure. If I would have said they've come back from like 7 to 10, 20-point deficits in their history with,
that many.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That was surprising. Like, when they did it, I didn't even really think much of it.
No.
It's like, okay, they cut it to 8 at halftime. Here we go.
Yeah, like, that didn't seem like it was like this huge chore. It was like they got down 20, and then by halftime it's 8, and it's like, an 8-point halftime lead is
it's nothing.
not
It's
much
normal.
at all. Yeah. So that was surprising, but at the same time, it was a great performance from the mid-second quarter on.
I don't want to take anything away from the Thunder. Don't get me wrong.
The Suns missed shots.
The Suns missed shots. They had a bunch of careless turnovers, and their game plan, to me,
That's why the Suns
was just flawed.
That's why the Suns are way out of the playoffs now.
Steven Adams was on Markieff Morris. I don't understand why they didn't just either isolate Markieff Morris. I mean, he had 16 points in the first quarter, and he finished with like 20.
He did start missing some shots.
He missed some shots.
People.
I think he was 1 of 9 in the second half.
There you go.
But to me, they should have either isolated Markieff Morris or put him in the pick and roll with Bledsoe and put Adams in that pick and roll and tried to exploit him. But they didn't do they were posting
Thunder
up Alex
went
Lynn
small,
at times. I didn't understand
But the Thunder
that.
did go small at times. Kyle Singler, especially when they went on that run late third, early fourth.
Right.
Kyle Singler was playing a lot of four. Which, by the way, how about your boy Kyle Singler?
A big 3 in the fourth quarter and 3 big assists in the fourth quarter.
I think 5 assists in the game, 6 rebounds. That nice steal behind
Could have easily been his best game.
He's
as a
weirdly
Thunder.
had 3 very similar plays since he's been with the Thunder, which is like a open court steal where he almost
Behind the
accidentally
back.
goes behind the back and then shovels it to somebody.
Right.
It's
Was that the Waiters dunk?
It was a layup by Waiters.
Layup.
But it's is that the Kyle Singler play? I feel like I have never seen a Thunder. It's not some special unique play, but just I've seen him do that exact play 3 times, and I don't think I've seen another player on the Thunder ever do that.
Yeah. Enes Kanter, close. Went behind the back that time at home.
Yeah, but it's behind the back as you're stealing it, It wasn't like he was dribbling a while and then went behind the back. It's like securing the steal by going behind the back. It's weird.
Shout out to Dion Waiters, by the way. He's playing with a bum foot, and he came out, and I thought he played well.
I had some word association we were going to talk about here, and one of them was Dion Waiters' recent play has been blank.
Encouraging.
That's funny. I had slightly encouraging.
He is what he is to me at this point, right? I mean, he's a volume shooter. He's never going to be really efficient. He's not going to be a great 3-point shooter. And he's a little shaky when he gets to the basket whenever he wants. Whether he finishes once he gets there, that's always a question. But if he finishes well, it's going to be a good night for him. And he has been finishing well lately, so I think it's encouraging.
Yeah, and not only when this is all happening, he's openly talked about, I saw a change that needed to be made, which is good. That he not only identified, told us about it, which is always good when we get info, and he has putting it into action.
Yeah. It'd be good for us and everyone, the fans, because all we're doing is trying to get the fans information. And if Dion Waiters was a better player, if he had more good games upon good games, we'd be able to talk to him more and just hear what he has to say.
He's great.
He is probably the best talker in the Thunder locker room at this point. Now that Perk's gone. Adams is okay.
Adams is great. You don't utilize the Steven Adams gold mine, of course.
I think you overrate Steven Adams with the media.
I don't think so because, now I can do some of these Twitter videos where it's not only what Steven Adams says, if you just put his quote in print, it's how he says it with the accent, with you've been there, just the way he
I know what you
presents his. He's hilarious.
He is. He's funny.
I'll tell you right now,
he's got a great personality. But in terms of mixing that with actual insight and giving you, something that you can actually use.
Not bad.
He's not bad.
He's
but
not
Waiters
good about
is better.
himself. He's not good
Waiters
about
is
himself.
better. Waiters will be truthful. Steven Adams is still a young player, and he's like,
but
I don't know if I should say that.
Yeah,
Waiters don't care. He's going to come out
care.
and actually just tell you what's on his mind.
But at the same time,
and he's got a great delivery. The way he talks, I don't know if it's a Philly accent or what.
I put him on the Twitter video.
Dion Waiters is great.
When he didn't come out for halftime, and he was talking about, I was like, "Why are you late?" He's like, "Oh, I ate something."
Yeah.
And then he gave me that quick smile.
Right.
On the camera, that was funny. But the problem with Waiters is you have to be careful. He's so overly confident and I figured it out and now I'm just gonna get buckets basically. You need to qualify some of his statements at times. I've really figured it out here. I don't. That's just the qualifier with him. But they're both good. I think if we ask the fans who are the consumers of these quotes, they would pick Adams over Waiters.
I think that's because they've
they've
come to know more from Adams. They've come to hear more and see more from Adams. I don't think the general public at this point knows as much about Waiters that they do Adams.
But the thing is that there's more Dion Waiters in the league. There's Dion Waiters across the league, 4 or 5 really confident guys that don't care what they're saying, and that, they kind of got a little Philly East Coast swag to them. Right. There's not any Steven Adams across the league.
Agree
There's
with
not
that.
any
I agree with that.
And then Chris Paul slapped me in the face. I said, "Can you please apologize?"
Yeah.
Nobody is going to say the quotes that Steven Adams is going to say.
Steven Adams will make you laugh more. Dion Waiters will give you better copy.
And Steven Adams will give you better video bites, would you say?
As long as Dion Waiters is making faces like, it wasn't really what I ate, it was something else. I don't know.
But
generally, Steven Adams I would say. But I don't know. We don't talk to Dion Waiters. I've probably talked to Dion Waiters maybe 3 or 4 times since he's been here.
See, I've done that a lot more. Probably 8 or 9.
You were with him out there the first time. When his first game in Sacramento.
By the way, that is up there for best interview of the year.
Which one?
Was his interview in Sacramento.
What'd he say?
Well, that's when he talked about the heart and the number thing.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
he will give you stuff.
He will.
Steven Adams, you wouldn't have got. They didn't want to give me that Kershik's number. Whatever.
Do you remember when I came back from Sacramento? I was the first.
Wasn't name at 12? What number is Steven Adams? 12?
Yeah. Well, regardless, if they didn't give him that, Adams would tell us that. He wouldn't care.
I don't think he would.
But when I came back from Sacramento, I told you Waiters is great. You're gonna really like him. That wasn't the best interview of the year.
Trust me,
because I think the best interview of the year was when
I like him.
I do too. But I can't believe he told you about the MRI the other day.
That's what I'm saying. You're proving my point to me.
I'm not arguing that he's not great. I'm just saying if I want to go to, I know it's going to be hilarious.
Steven Adams will tell you Perk told him he's the only silverback. That's a great quote. It makes you laugh.
Do you remember the exit interview?
But Dion Waiters is going to tell you, hey, they wouldn't let me have number 13. Newsworthy. Hey, I might have to have an MRI on my left foot. Newsworthy.
Adams went in depth with me about migraine headaches.
Okay,
which
let me
was
say this.
And the team was not wanting him to tell me
when
about
we do our
notebooks.
Migraines. When we do our notebooks, right, for the paper, we have the most interesting, the most compelling, the most informative or insightful thing as the lead note, right? Down below, we'll do a quotable. I did it in today's paper. Dion Waiters is the lead note. Adams will give you something for the quotable.
Adams will fill the notebook, first of all.
With quotables. But Dion Waiters is giving you actual information.
They can be interesting lead notes. When he talked about trash talking with, Garnett and Perk and the trash talk with Paul. That was a lead note.
Yeah.
They're both good. I mean, we're arguing about 2 great quotes.
They're the best on the team. And Nick Collison, I like insightful players. Nick Collison's right up there.
Durant can be good. I think Durant has the interview of the year when he came back from the All-Star break and called us to tell us to ask him more. I think that was probably the best interview of the year.
I loved it.
Yeah. You went after it.
So, okay, this is what you want. Let's do it.
So he generally is pretty good. He's gotten a lot better, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
What else you got? You said you had some more word associations?
Yeah, fill in the blank, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
Blank's development over the next month is the most important. Basically the question is whose development over the next month?
Serge Ibaka's.
What? You mean his health recovery?
Yep.
Explain. Good. I'm glad because that was not my answer.
His right knee developing and recovering from surgery.
So you're still thinking about this from a this season perspective?
Well, you said over the next month. So
yeah. Well,
yes.
That's probably, think about how long the first round goes.
Yeah, you said over the next month. So if they want to have any shot against the Warriors or whoever they play in the first round, they need Serge Ibaka's knee to develop and recover enough for him to be able to get back on the floor. So Serge Ibaka's right knee development would be my answer.
Okay, I thought of it more of a. I don't think they're going.
Obviously, I don't think. Just so people know, you didn't give me these questions before, so
I did not. No, I'm glad you didn't.
But
I took
the other route
because you did with Waiters.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm viewing it as they're probably not going to win it all because Durant's obviously out for the year and Ibaka is so up in the air with his health. I said Mitch McGary's.
Mitch McGary?
As a rookie, because he's going to get a ton of time that he wouldn't have gotten. If this team was healthy the whole year, like Mitch McGary's probably never in the rotation.
He's still not playing as much as he probably should.
He only played 8 minutes in Phoenix, but he really cut the rotation. There's games over the next month he'll play 25 plus. I think he's going to be important in a Warrior series as like an up and down big that can run a little bit. I think because going into next year, if he can develop where he should, I think he becomes a key rotational guy off the bench. So I think his game experience over the next month is the most important of anyone's. And then I also had written down here, and this is more of a summer thing, but Enes Kanter's defensive development probably more likely to happen in the summer into the camp next year. That's huge because he can be like if he became a serviceable average defender who just could position himself well, he's not gonna ever be like a great shot blocker or anything. But if he could just be where he just doesn't get so exploited, he'd be like an all-star.
Yeah, he might still be an all-star. Defense don't get you an all-star team.
Well, you know what I mean. Like, he'd be such a solid top-level center if he was just average on defense.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So, if they can drill that into him, I mean, he's only 22. So, we'll see. Who's your Enes Kanter comp in the league?
It's funny. I mean, Al Jefferson a little bit.
I was gonna. That's a very good one.
Former teammates. I mean, they
great
score.
Post guy that scores, but like slow-footed defensively,
right.
That's a good one, and they're friends.
By the way, you see what Brook Lopez has been doing?
Yeah, he's having a huge year.
Jesus. What if they got him? I'm not saying, there was obviously a lot of issues with his injuries, the money. But
he's probably going to opt out this summer.
Yeah, maybe he will, but maybe he wouldn't if he came to the Thunder.
I bet he would.
Maybe not.
Maybe he agrees to re-sign here, but if you're Brook Lopez and you're healthy now, opt out and get a long-term deal.
Maybe.
That's you got to.
Or maybe he waits for the new cap to kick in,
but he does that.
Gets a deal there.
Do you really want to risk going a season where you might re-break a foot or something? If I'm him and I can guarantee a long-term deal, with like if he goes in the summer playing the way he is, he'll get one.
Yeah,
you got to do that.
Last 6 games, 28.8 points per game.
Well, at the same time,
9.3 rebounds, 3 blocks on 61.5% shooting. Them numbers.
They are.
Pau
Gasol to me is like Enes Kanter's like dream scenario.
Pau Gasol is so much better than Enes Kanter.
For sure. That's why we're talking about a dream scenario.
We were sitting next to each other. When Pau Gasol was here, I was going gaga.
You're going gaga every time you talk about Pau Gasol.
I mean, when you just look at the way he plays.
Bring him up on this podcast.
When you look at the way, that's how I feel about you and Steven Adams. When you look at the way he plays, he would have been a perfect fit for the Thunder. I mean, low post scoring. He can step out and shoot it. Kind of not. I don't want to call him soft. I mean, I think that's a little harsh.
Jeez.
But he can.
He's not.
He can protect the rim a little bit. He can protect the rim a little bit. With his length.
Well, I mean, he would have
block
had
a couple shots. Serge playing next to him. He's a fantastic passer. That pass that he made to Etuan Moore in Chicago, everyone thought that was a design. It was not a design. Pau Gasol did that on the fly. And that's the type of player you need. So, like, Enes Kanter's defense is not just the only issue. It's also the fact that, like, can he pass out of the post? He's been better with the Thunder, but if he could really pass out of the post, that's when you got when you got a really effective big man who can change the way teams have to guard you. And Pau Gasol would have been that.
Rick Barnes to Tennessee.
Yeah, I heard that on my way in.
Interesting.
He can't keep his orange stuff from Texas, right? That's a much different orange. Burnt orange versus
like
volunteer orange, whatever they call that.
What is the Tennessee orange called?
I don't know. Volunteer orange. Are you surprised the Thunder didn't try to make a run at Rick Barnes? Like,
no, I mean they would look so desperate for Durant if they did that because like Rick Barnes was unsuccessful at Texas.
so
why would you then bring him? Like maybe it's an assistant.
yeah,
or something.
yeah. Maybe not the head guy, but just say,
Okay.
hey, let's see how this thing plays out. We want to,
Maybe, but Rick Barnes probably doesn't want to be an NBA assistant if he can just go and get fired one day from a Big 12 job and 2 days later have
NBA
an
assistant is
SEC
such
job.
a cushy job. That might be the cushiest job in the NBA, being an assistant coach.
I mean, how about like the Jeremy Lamb, Perry Jones job? End of the bench, celebrate.
Yeah. But you need like a Gerald Wallace contract.
You're getting but you're getting more money than I guarantee right now. Jeremy Lamb and Perry Jones are getting a lot more than any assistant in the league. Maybe not.
Maybe not.
I bet you more than any.
Maybe not Jones. Maybe not Jones.
What's Perry Jones making?
Probably 1.2, maybe.
Do you think there's any assistant getting 1.2?
Wonder what Alvin Gentry's making.
Nah, Perry Jones. Well, you're right. 1.2. Wow. 2 million next year, 3 million the year after if they pick it up. Yeah, maybe one of like the really, really high paid assistants, but I still don't think so.
Yeah. If I'm at the end of the bench, I want to be a veteran who had a bad contract and I'm not even playing anymore.
Yeah, those are the nice ones. Like I remember last year the Heat called Rashard Lewis 2 checks, or 2 years ago, whenever, because he was playing like minimum wage on the Heat and get the minimum wage check, but like at the same time he'd be getting checks from the Wizards for his like $22 million per year deal, which is a nice gesture because not only are you sitting on the end of the bench, but the team that you're sitting on the end of the bench doesn't even care. Like they don't feel like they're wasting money on you. Yeah, because they're paying you minimum, but you're still getting just paid.
I wouldn't have been surprised if a team, Thunder or anyone else, went after Rick Barnes. Yeah, it's desperate. So what? You're trying to send a message to the guy, we want you, and that's what teams do in free agency.
Yeah, maybe somebody
Wizards hired one of his high school or AAU coaches, or whoever they hired, that guy they hired.
I guess the difference is that guy jumps at a job like that.
Yeah,
like,
Rick Barnes
is like,
obviously
no, I'll just go to Tennessee.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, but maybe, I don't know, maybe Rick Barnes doesn't want that pressure anymore. Clearly he does.
I was going to say, I think
I'm just saying.
We've decided that he does.
You know, you have to.
Yeah.
I would have made the call. I would have made the call.
The call might have been made. Who knows?
Think Presti would ever tell us?
No. You kidding me? All right, you ready? When looking back at this season, I'll remember blank the most.
The injuries. I mean, they're going to miss more than 200 games due to injury. And it is basically almost every player on the roster. And so it's not even close. That's what I'll remember. The second thing, by far, distant second, would be Russell Westbrook's phenomenal, February and March. The triple-doubles, the MVP numbers, the things that we just hadn't seen in such a long time. That'll be a distant second. But the injury is for sure number one.
Yeah, it is. When we talk about the injuries, too, I'm trying to think of like a anecdote or a
Perry Jones missing a month with a bruised
knee contusion. I remember the thing that stands out to me most, like if a book was written or something on this season, when we walked in, when this went from like a little bit of early bad luck to like what is going on here, was when 2 days before the season we go into practice opens up and we go in to ask about like Morrow had just had an MRI or MCL sprain that we needed to talk about, and there was maybe some updates about Durant and McGarry coming. They were already all hurt. And we went in to talk about that, and then on the other side of the court, Jackson's getting helped off, and Lamb's like being led away like he was blind.
Mm-hmm.
I legitimately were like, I think they might be messing with us because they've already had so many injuries. I think the team is joking with the media, like, look, another guy's hurt. Look, another guy's hurt. But they were both legitimately hurt, and then that was to me like the day it was like something weird is going on.
Yeah, it was bad.
I know you remember that day.
It's been a rough season.
Okay, when looking back, what play will you remember the most?
I hate to be a prisoner of the moment, but Russell Westbrook's alley-oop dunk night before last in Phoenix where he dunked on Enes Kanter.
To me,
that was pretty impressive.
It was, but how about the coast-to-coast he had against Philly?
That was nice, and where he took off from. And
it was his first game with the mask, I think.
That he threw that dunk down with.
It was his first game with the mask.
That was a nice play. It was also Philly. How high he gets on those alley-oops when you think, okay, they overthrew this guy. And he just goes up and gets it. He out-jumped.
To me, his best
Enes Kanter's not like a great jumper, but he was clearly head and shoulders above Enes Kanter going to get that lob. And this dude's 6'10". So just stuff like that. When Westbrook goes up and gets a lob, to me, that's just so impressive. The one DJ Augustine threw to him, and he just went up there. I think he got it with two hands.
Yeah. I think his
those
best,
to me
his
are the
best
most
dunk
impressive.
of the year to me was in Orlando when he had that reverse where he just hung in the air.
That was nice. Yeah,
that was his best dunk of the year. I thought that was when it was like, dude, this guy could probably win the dunk contest.
Yeah.
Or maybe not Levine's in it, but
has anyone else had a play that he would even come close?
If I'm just talking about when looking back, the play I'll remember most, I don't want to be a downer, but the Kevin Durant ankle sprain in Golden State.
Murray Spates.
He's having a legendary first half. First time he's ever scored 30 points in the first half. It's maybe the best regular season game I've ever seen to that point.
Best half of basketball you've ever seen.
Yes, just like both teams were just like unguardable plays, both sides. It's what we hoped this series would have been if everyone was healthy. Shaking your head over it. And he looked back. It was the first. Remember, he had only come back from the Jones fracture, and he wasn't looking like he was hurt at all. He just hadn't played to his level. It was the first time I was like, okay, he's back MVP level. And then he has that bad ankle sprain, which number one just knocked him out 6 days just with the ankle sprain. And I'm not a doctor, and I don't know this to be true, but I mean, that might have started the complications with the screw and everything. I mean, when you just roll your ankle that bad, right on the screw, right on where the fracture was. I think part of the Jones fracture, I shouldn't be talking like I'm a doctor over here.
Come on, Dr. Slater, keep going.
But just rolling it. I just wonder how everything. We'll never know, and I can't sit here and act like I do know how it would have played out. But I just wonder what would happen if he just doesn't roll his ankle there. What happens in that second half? Does he go for 60? Do the Thunder win? He keeps playing, obviously, because he doesn't have the sprained ankle. Beyond that, is there not these complications that come later? I don't know. And that's a play I will always remember.
Fair enough.
The most impressive aspect of Russell Westbrook's season has been blank.
Most impressive aspect. That's tough. You go first.
I put leadership down, his maturity. Especially, he's never played without Durant in his career. Had to this season. There's been some struggles at times, but I think overall, especially after the trade went down, the way he handled the newcomers and just how he's played over the last couple of months, I think that was because we've known he's had this athletic ability and talent, but we hadn't really seen this type of maturity and leadership. I think that's maybe the most impressive part. The other two things I slashed down here were rebounding. His rebounding for a point guard is like legendary. And then just his night-to-night energy, just every night. I mean, that's something we, like I said earlier, we knew he had, but to see him do it in such a trying season for everybody else, everything just crumbling around him, it seemed. Just every night he just brings it.
I wonder if he's getting a little tired. I know he missed the 15 games, but I wonder if he's getting tired.
I mean, I think maybe he's jump shot a little bit. He doesn't have the energy, doesn't have the lift. He's not hitting it like he was during that great stretch, and you might see it there. But, I mean, I don't think you really see it as far as, like,
he's going to go out there and still have that energy, that relentless energy. But in terms of, I don't want to say his effectiveness, but maybe his efficiency, I feel like that's slipping, and he's taking more and more questionable shots, which he was getting away from a lot this season. I liked that he was doing that. But, he took 29 shots in each of the last two games. A lot of them weren't good shots. And I just wonder if that's like a little bit fatigue setting in and him settling. And not just physically, but mentally. It's been a rough season for him.
Yeah.
His let's see. Look, all right. His last 8 games. He's shooting 36.8%.
His last 8 games, he's shooting 36.8.
Averaging 27.6 points.
A lot of turnovers, too.
5.5 turnovers over that same span. So
that's a ton.
That, to me, those numbers back up kind of what I'm seeing.
Yeah, and the crazy part is it's like he's not playing nearly how good he was in, like, February. But, you couldn't even while we were watching that, we couldn't just, like, expect that to happen.
You knew that wasn't going to continue for the rest of the season. Which is a shame because if he got anywhere close to sustaining that, he had a legitimate shot for MVP. But I think that ship has sailed.
We talked about all the injuries this year. What injury would – this is kind of a weird question, but what injury would you most prefer to have happen to you of all the injuries that have happened this season?
I can guarantee you it wouldn't be my zygomatic arch being broken.
I was going to say, and then / least prefer. Would you least prefer the Westbrook?
Yeah, I would not
break?
Want a dent in my face.
Yeah, which is crazy because, that came with the quickest return.
Yeah, there is that. I would probably say a sprained ankle.
Yeah, because we've all done it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
You'd rather get kneed in the face?
I think I'd rather get kneed in the face.
And miss one game and have to play with a mask?
Than, bone graft surgery on my foot.
Yeah, I would not want anything with surgery. Which the zygomatic arch did have surgery.
Face surgery.
Yep.
That's probably the worst surgery to go through. But you're just not hurt for as long. And, the doctor did a good job because you can't even tell with Westbrook that it's ever that anything ever happened at this point.
Lamb had a bad one. His back.
Backs are bad ones.
Yeah, that's a horrible one. Knees, Serge Ibaka, knee surgery, soreness. That's a bad one. What else? Perry Jones, bruised knee. I think I could have handled the bruised knee.
Robertson's had some terrible ankle sprains.
Foot sprain, ankle sprain.
That are just
his
were the worst of the sprains, I think.
Yep. Morrow had the knee sprain. Yeah, my answer would be I want an ankle sprain. I do not want a zygomatic arch fracture.
Yeah. All right. How many players do you think have been on the Thunder roster this year? I want to see if you can guess this quick. I got a little mini quiz for you.
Without thinking about it, I'd say 23.
I believe it's 21. Who do you think's averaged the least amount of points out of those 21 players? Can you name all 21?
Let's try this. Let's try to do this really quickly.
You have the 15 that are already on the roster. I'll give you that.
Okay, so I need 6 more.
Yeah, you
Sebastian Telfair, Lance Thomas.
Yes.
Kendrick Perkins, Reggie Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, this is not that difficult.
No, the last two should be easy. Not
why
easy,
am I
but
struggling?
you gotta remember them.
I gotta remember them. They were here. Did they play in a game?
Both of them played in games. Yes. One of them.
I said Lance
got
Thomas, right?
Shots up. Yeah, you've said 4. There's 2 remaining.
Lance Thomas is not one of the 2 remaining?
No.
Let me try this again.
One of them,
Reggie Jackson, Kendrick Perkins, Lance Thomas, Sebastian Telfair, Ish Smith. You got to remember the last one. He's the legendary. Legendary?
He got his shots up when he was in the game.
Yeah, that was Lance Thomas.
No, this is more than Lance Thomas. He got way more shots per minute up than Lance Thomas.
Guard or big man?
Big man. I'd love to look at his shots per minute compared to anyone ever in the history of the league.
Oh, my God. I don't know. Tell me.
Grant Jarrett.
Oh, Grant Jarrett.
Dude, Grant Jarrett would come in. I'm going to look right now.
He played, 3 games?
Something like that.
Maybe 4?
5. He got in
5 games?
I'm going to look at his totals
boy, Grant
right now.
Jarrett. Did he make any shots? Did he ever score a point?
3 of 17. He went 1 of 13 from 3. He shot 17. He took 17 shots in, why is there no minute totals? 5 games played, 5 minutes per game.
What are you on, ESPN?
25. 17
are you on
shots
ESPN?
in 25 minutes.
That's your first mistake. Are you on ESPN?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
You need to be on Basketball Reference.
You're right. It's just where it went. 17 shots in 25 minutes. That's a lot of shots, Grant.
Yeah.
13 of those threes.
7 points he scored as a member of the Thunder.
Ooh,
Till this day, he still has 7 career points. Utah's had stashed him in the D League pretty much all season.
Yeah, I'm looking at the PER. I sorted the PER. Every single person's PER Steve Novak's is 1.9. He's the lowest. He's the only one that's not below 6. And then Grant Jarrett's PER is negative 11.1. I don't think I've ever heard of anything like that. Guess the top PER on the Thunder right now?
Russell Westbrook.
Okay, I'm just saying keep going after that. Russell Westbrook's 1.
I would still say Durant 2.
Durant is 2, yes.
I would probably say Serge 3.
Nope.
Or Kanter 3.
Kanter, easily.
Then Serge 4.
Nope.
It ain't Waiters. It Steve. No, it won't be Steven Adams. Is he still here?
He is still here.
Anthony Morrow.
Mitch McGarry.
Mitch
Mitch McGarry has a 17.2 PER. 4th. Ibaka's 5th.
Get that man minutes.
Reggie Jackson 6th. Lamb is 7th.
Ibaka's 5th? I thought Ibaka was 4th.
No, McGarry's 4th. We just talked about this.
I thought you just said Ibaka was 4th and then.
No.
Okay.
Jackson, Lamb is 7th. Adams 8th. Morrow 9th. Augustine 10th. Telfair 11th. Collison 12th. Dion Waiters PER 9.6. It's not good compared to what you would think. Because I guess that's an efficiency stat.
Yeah. He's not
He's
efficient.
right next to Andre Robertson.
Shooter,
He's right next to Andre Robertson. Okay. Last thing I want to talk about. Have you followed this Chris Bryant thing?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about at all?
Mildly. Not really. I mean, I've heard his name in the news, but I haven't followed it
Okay,
at all.
I wanted to take you through this and translate it to basketball a little bit.
This ought to be good.
Chris Bryant is a Cubs prospect, probably the best prospect in all of baseball. Stud, I think he was very top pick. Clearly rising through their system. Goes to spring training this year. Is clearly not only is he ready for the big leagues, he's probably their best hitter. He just mashes all spring. But there's a rule in MLB that, arbitration, and it's basically rookie deals, starting their contracts, bringing them up. If the Cubs wait if he has 12 or more days in the minors, it puts his arbitration back a year. So it basically gives him another year of control. So they just sent him to the minors before the season started, and they're going to stash him in the minors for 13 or so days before they call him up. Mm-hmm. And he'd be their best player. I mean, he's going to miss 12, 13 games just because of this thing. And fans, most of the fans are outraged about it. The players' union's heated about it. And, Barry wrote, I don't know if you read it, but he wrote a kind of interesting blog post about it saying if this was the Thunder, I mean, shouldn't fans, if Sam Presti could sit Kevin Durant or Russell Westbrook their first year in the league for, a first half month, which would be 6 or so games, especially translated to baseball, what Brian will miss, about 6 or so games, shouldn't the fans want that?
If it pushes back their free agency.
1 year. It pushes back their free agency 1 more year.
You could save money, have them for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why does baseball allow that? It seems like a weird deal. Baseball's
maybe this will be the final straw. Does something to get rid of it.
It's just interesting, because Cubs fans are so heated about it, but at the same time, you're playing it right. But then there's the argument, you Chris Bryant and his agent, who's the top agent, Scott Boras, then lose trust in the Cubs. And,
right.
There's a strained relationship there.
Yeah.
Which is
he wouldn't be the first to go through this, though, right?
No. A lot of people.
This happens all the time, doesn't it?
This does, and it's becoming increasingly a big issue. And then this is the case where it's so, you know what I mean? This guy is their best prospect. He'd probably be their best player. And they're keeping him off they're willingly not playing him for 2 weeks.
Right.
Which isn't it? I mean, I think it's such an interesting.
It is interesting.
Debate
But I mean, the team is doing what's best for the team,
baseball
which is what's always going to do.
Baseball just works strange to me. You know what? Where it's really strange, and I'm just comparing it to the NBA or NFL, the draft.
What about it?
I love what baseball does with the draft as far as think about it. In the NBA, Buddy Hield or something right now. If Buddy Hield declares right when he declares or gets an agent or anything like that, he's like never going to play in the NCAA again.
Yeah.
In baseball, you can get drafted like 5 times. And, like, you can get drafted. You can negotiate with a team.
Homeboy from Notre Dame's got a $400,000 deal.
Yeah.
Pat Connaughton. And he was balling for the Irish.
That's what I'm saying. They can negotiate with teams, and they can figure it out, and they can go to the last moment. And one of their negotiating chips is, I don't like that money. I'm going to go back to school and play again.
Yeah.
And it's so weird to me. Why does the NCAA allow that?
I don't know.
Why does baseball have that agreement, which I think is a good agreement? Like, I think Buddy Hield should be able to go test the waters. I didn't get drafted. And I'm just using him as an example, but a ton of guys should go see if they get drafted, see if they like the money, or if they don't, if they have to go overseas, hey, well, I'll go back to the NCAA. I still have 2 more years of eligibility, whatever.
I think it's such a slippery slope because if a guy does start flirting with it, you don't know if they're getting money, if they accept some money from somewhere, which technically would then make them a non-amateur at that point. So it's a slippery slope. I think the checks and balance system, if you open it up to that, you're opening yourself up to a lot of different things that could come with that. So I think it's tricky to do that.
Whose system?
There's got to be a way.
There's got to
be a way to do it, but I think they really got to think about that and take a hard look at it.
Whose system do you like more? Baseball and how they handle things, and how how much freedom there basically is. Go out, go in, figure stuff out, negotiate, and come back if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. Like I said, there are complications to it. And what's the rule in baseball? If you go to college, you got to stay 3 years.
But you can go out of high school.
Yeah.
Which is, people have argued that's what college basketball should do too. So there's not all these one and dones. It's like, okay, you think you're good enough, go straight out of high school. But if you go to college, 3 years. But at the same time, why not just give people freedom like every year? There's ways to get around it in baseball though, because you can go get drafted out of high school, then you can go JC. You get drafted from a JC, and then decide, should I go back to the JC? Should I go to a 4-year?
Just like basketball, really.
There's people that are drafted 5 times. The baseball draft's so strange, anyways, because of all the rounds.
Right.
There's like
how many rounds is it?
Between 50 and 70 or something, and like there's a lot of wasted picks.
Is that something to be proud of if you get drafted like in the 48th round?
Yeah,
you should be proud of that.
For sure.
Okay.
I mean, I know a lot of guys that have been drafted from my first school, from my second school. It's, it's cool to say. It's not nearly, there's so many guys that like, hey, I got drafted, but, I played a little minor league ball and then washed out.
Right.
Where if you get drafted in like the NBA, like you're in their plans a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
But the weird thing is there's like baseball waste picks a lot of times that I know teams will just draft brothers of like players on their teams. Like, hey, like this nice gesture, we took your brother. Or like Johnny Manziel was drafted last year. Russell Wilson, I think. They just.
It sounds like you're in the mood for some baseball. You're gearing up for baseball season.
Well, I mean, I'm a baseball fan. I follow it. I just thought when I was reading the Chris Bryant stuff, and then Barry had an interesting blog about it, and I was, it's just strange how much different their rules about stuff like that are compared to how NBA works. Because, I mean, those are still 2 American professional sports, and they operate very differently in, like, key aspects where it's so strange how taboo it is, and, like, how the NCAA will just not allow a basketball player to even, like, okay, you're, like, permanently ineligible.
Right.
Whereas the free-flowingness of baseball.
Yeah. How you Indians going to be this year?
They're getting some national hype. They got the reigning Cy Young, and
who's that?
Corey Kluber. You've probably never heard of him, but he won the Cy Young.
Cool name.
It is a cool name, and he was great last year. He won the Cy Young over Felix Hernandez, and people still don't know who he is. Good young staff, good young lineup, really tough division. I'm a little more optimistic than I probably should be. They always let me down. So, but
when's opening day?
April 5th, I believe, which
Sunday.
is
Sunday night baseball.
Yeah, I think maybe
they open on a Sunday.
I don't think the Indians. I think they do like a big game Sunday night baseball.
Yeah.
I don't know who the opener is. And then I think everyone else starts Monday.
This Phoenix game would have been a good trip for you because there were so many people there for spring training.
I've been to spring training in Arizona before.
Yeah. I'd like to
I'm
go.
not
I've never
like
experienced it.
I'm not like this monster baseball fan, but I do like following it. It's
tough for me to follow. Too
You
many
know,
games. Way too many
Sunday night
games.
baseball is Cardinals Cubs. This was another thing with the Bryant thing. Like they were gonna have their like prized rookie on national TV, the only game Sunday night baseball,
Yeah.
like probably their 3-hitter, and just like the excitement that would have brought to a team to a franchise that hasn't had enough excitement,
Right.
and they're not like he's not gonna be in the lineup that night just because of this.
Oh, well.
Where all the fans are concerned about like how this kid's gonna be.
They can wait.
It's
12,
like a
they
really
can wait 12
it's
days.
a crazy case study.
Yeah.
That's why I brought it up. That's why we're on Thunder Buddies podcast and we're talking MLB. We'll talk to you again next week.
Durant, pull-up jumper, off the rim, and and the Thunder win! All right, come on, let's sing the Thunder song. When you hear the sound of thunder, don't you get too scared. Just grab your Thunder buddy and say these magic words.